Now please help me welcome Pierre-Philippe Dupont, Vice President of Sustainability at Canada Nickel. Canada Nickel is currently advancing the Crawford Nickel project in the Timmins region and recently closed an equity investment from Samsung SDI.
So good afternoon, everybody. It's good to be here today in my hometown of Quebec City. I didn't think I was going to give a talk in English as part of my career in my hometown of Quebec City, but I will do that today. It's good to be here. So today I'm going to talk about Canada Nickel, the company that was founded in 2009. Okay, they told me it was difficult. So Canada Nickel, new nickel play, founded in 2019 to actually develop the Crawford Nickel project, which is located in the newly discovered Timmins Nickel District. So this is like basically we built out of a really strong leading mining and nickel expertise. Part of the crew developed the Dumont Nickel project in Amos. In Quebec, in northern Quebec, and we also have the capacity to build, to take these projects that we have all the way to construction with a really good crew of engineers. We're focused on northeastern Ontario, the Timmins area. So for those of you who don't know Timmins, which would be surprising if you're in the mining industry, strong history of mining, mainly gold. Zinc as well with the kit operation, Glencore's kit operation, lots of skilled worker, all the infrastructures in there. And as part of what we did, putting that company together, we actually managed to acquire more than 24 nickel project within 100 kilometers from Timmins. As it was mentioned in the introduction, we onboarded multiple credible partners. So early 2023, Anglo-American came on board. They're now about 8% of the project. They're still working with us. So as part of the governance system, we have technical committees as well as ESG. They're part of these committees and supporting the project moving forward. More recently, right before the end of the year, a Nico Eagle came on board as a back end of a flow-through charity, 35 million that we will spend in exploration. We'll talk about that a little bit. And also, and nonetheless, Samsung, which is on board as well for about 9% of the company. So nickel overall, it's been I've been in the industry for about 15, 20 years now in the nickel industry. Always underestimate, the demand's always underestimated. Mainly driven by stainless, surprisingly, because people talk about the EV, the battery, sort of revolution. But the main driver for nickel has always been stainless steel, and the growth of stainless steel has been about 4% a year since decades. And now we're adding the EV demand. So people may think, it's like we're talking about probably 6 million tons of nickel that will be required in 2030 to fulfill the demand, and maybe more. People are talking where does that nickel will come from? So the main producers right now are what we now call foreign entity of concern. So 70% of the nickel that's in the market right now comes from either Russia, the Philippines, or Indonesia. Philippines and Indonesia mainly controlled by a Chinese company. So big challenge with this nickel that we now call the dirty nickel is the environmental footprint is unbelievable. So we're talking about to produce a ton of nickel in these countries, we're talking about a footprint of about 30 to 80 tons of greenhouse gases emitted per ton of nickel. If we compare what we do in the Western, now we can call the Western world, we're about 2 to 8 tons of GHG emissions per ton of nickel produced. So this is a bit challenging. And we'll see what kind of solution we want to provide to this. So the Crawford Nickel project's our flagship project. We started working in 2019. Started from 4 drill holes. We recently published the feasibility study in November. Permitting process is well on the way. About 2/3 of the process is done so far. So it's a magnificent location because we're in the Timmins area, in between Timmins and Cochrane. We're right, we need to relocate the highway, so access is not a problem. Electricity, power, everything's there. We have about 10 to 15 kilometers of railway to connect to the KID rail to spur line. Crawford would be a massive nickel operation. First phase would be 60,000 tons per day, ramping up to 120,000 tons per day after year 5, 40 plus years life of mine, producing around 50,000 tons of nickel at full capacity, and adding to that, we have cobalt, iron, chrome, and PGMs in the deposit. And one of the key aspects of what we're doing is Crawford will become one of the largest carbon storage facility in Canada. So I'm not going to go over the economics, but internal rate of return about 17 to 18%, depending if you account for the carbon capture credits. 40-year life of mine, 2.5 billion capex to get that going, which is significant, but still, feasible in nowadays market. So Crawford would be the second largest nickel reserve globally, the third largest nickel sulfide operation as well. So a very significant nickel asset that we're pushing forward. Milestone-wise, I mentioned the permitting process. We're filing the environmental impact statement by the end of this summer. We expect that we should receive the main permits by mid-2025, start construction, about 2 years construction. So we should be able to provide nickel units in the market by the end of 2027. Talking about the Timmins Nickel District now. So when we started working on Crawford, we used the geophysical, geomagnetic footprint of the project to basically fly the area, and we actually discovered a bunch of targets that we acquired. So we now have about 24 targets. What we intend to do, and all of these targets yield nickel results, like all 0.25, 0.3. So I think there's one drill hole so far that we drilled that was actually not positive out of everything that we've done. So it says that 94% success rate. So what we're intending to do with the money that we got from Agnico is to actually generate 7 new resources out of this nickel district. Working on Texmont, Deloro, Reed, Man Central, Man Northwest, Bannockburn, Midlothian. Texmont was an operating asset in the 70s, about 1% nickel. So this is one of the key projects that we're moving forward now. So with this resource, we should have a multiple about 10x what we have for Crawford in that district. One of the things that we're working on as well is we created that new subsidiary, Net Zero Metals, to build downstream processing facilities in the Timmins area. When we look at the overall nickel supply chain in North America, the missing link is downstream processing. So there's not a lot of it, there's actually none of it, and we intend to build a nickel con facility in Timmins as well as a stainless steel facility. We're presently working with Mezzo and SMR to do the feasibility studies of these projects that should be published by the end of this year. Concerning the CO2 footprint, obviously we're in Ontario, grid is pretty clean, pretty green, but what we intend to do is leverage the fact that the rock that we're mining has this capacity to sequester carbon once exposed to atmospheric condition. Like my CEO now calls it the magic rock. So basically what you see on this image is core, a core sample that was like fresh core sample, and a core sample that was left on the table for about a year. So that white crust that you see on the surface of this material is what we call carbonate. So once exposed to atmospheric conditions, the brucite that's contained in the rock reacts and generates a carbonate. It's one of the only present permanent form of carbon capture and storage. So technically, you would need to have like a chemical process to extract the carbon out of that rock. So what we did in previous projects that I work on, such as Dumont, so we basically intended to pump the tailings into the tailings storage facility and basically try to optimize that reaction. And see what's going to happen and basically bank these carbon credits. What we're doing with Canada Nickel is actually we're pumping a pure stream of carbon at the end of the processing, and basically the results that you would get in the tailings storage facility in about a year, we can get these results in 3 to 6 hours as part of the process. At the peak production rate, we would be able to store about 1.5 million tons of carbon in the tailings storage facility, which would make Crawford probably one of the 4 or 5 biggest storage facility in Canada. So in summary, we do believe that there's the fundamentals for nickel are not well understood. We do believe that the growth's much faster. It's like the demand's growing much faster than what's being predicted, and we do believe that Indonesia is not the solution to provide those nickel units on the market, especially nowadays with everything that we know regarding geopolitical conditions. We've got significant investors on board. Anglo, Samsung, Agnico Eagle speaks about the credibility of what we're doing. We would be the Western world's largest nickel sulfide operation. We have the potential to be net negative from a carbon perspective. We have our playground is amazing. We're unlocking the Timmins Nickel District right now, and we're also working on what we now call the missing link, which is downstream processing of nickel and magnetite as part of the stainless steel processing facilities in Timmins. So it's good to talk to you today.